So, do you guys know who Harry Sisson is? He's this kid. He is a leftist liberal activist on TikTok, and he has a pretty big account, and a lot of Gen Z liberals look up to him for information, which is really unfortunate because there was an article that came out maybe a month or two ago that everybody was talking about where there were some pretty solid indicators to suggest that a lot of these influencers, Harry included, are being paid by a dark money group to push specific narratives, to repeat specific talking points, and to push a very specific liberal agenda. And of course, they all denied it. But if you read the article, then it also says that they are not allowed to admit that this is what they were doing. So, of course, they're not going to tell us. But it just, suggests what level of credibility we should give them. But the reason I wanted to talk about Harry today, because I don't know if I've ever talked about him on my channel, is because he seems to be engaging in a Democrat tactic that they are all engaging in these days. And that is to say the most heinous, egregious, awful things about us, which is nothing new, about people on the right, about Trump supporters, comparing us to Yahtzees and saying that Trump is Schmittler and all of these things and calling us fascists and racist. These are the things that we've become used to. But then when they get called out for it or questioned on it, they are now denying that any of this stuff is happening. They will say, no, there's no Democrats inciting violence. No, Antifa does not exist. And when it comes to the specific incident that I want to talk about with Harry Sisson, he was on with Piers Morgan the other day, and I'm going to share the clip with you because it went relatively viral. And the topic of conversation was whether or not Kamala Harris had ever referred to Donald Trump as Schmittler. And anybody with two brain cells to rub together that has been paying attention for longer than about 4 minutes to public conversation knows that not only has she, but this has become a popular talking point across Democrat media, across Democrat officials, to either refer to Trump as Schmittler or as a wannabe Schmittler, or to compare literally everything he does to Yahtzee Germany or to 1930s Germany. Harry's response to this was pretty interesting. It was along that same level of denial. That is what we're going to get into today. But before we get too much further, I'm Outspoken Samantha. I would appreciate it if you would hit the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you so much for doing both of those things. So let's get right into this. So this was the clip that went relatively viral. We've got Piers Morgan, Harry Sisson. I'm not entirely sure who the gentleman in the middle is, but then we've got Isabel Brown, who has a show on the Daily Wire, and then we have Jack Posobiec, who is amazing. But again, the topic of conversation was whether or not Kamala Harris had ever referred to Donald Trump as Schmittler. Or I should say more accurately, the question was, name a high-ranking official that has ever called Donald Trump Schmittler, which broadens the pool even further. It gives us the opportunity to provide even more examples, because there are lots of them. But I want to play this clip, let you guys listen to how this all played out, and also note that Harry Sisson's facial expressions have gotten him mercilessly roasted over the last couple of days, and rightfully so. But let's listen to how this all played out.
I'd be happy to answer the question about whether or not a high-ranking Democrat has used this rhetoric. Who is Kamala Harris?
I know. I want you to answer all the questions. I want you to answer all the questions
for you. Who is Kamala Harris?
Wait. Answer all the questions I just gave you. And can you name me when Kamala Harris said that Donald Trump is Hitler? When did Kamala Harris? Great.
Was Kamala Harris last year a high-ranking Democrat when she was?
When did Kamala Harris call Donald Trump Hitler?
October of 2024, Kamala Harris said on the campaign trail, Donald Trump vowed to be a dictator on day one. His former chief of staff said he wanted generals like Hitler's. Donald Trump openly admires dictators, including Adolf Hitler. Last October, that was said on the campaign trail from the Democrat.
Kamala Harris said this during the campaign, during the closing days of the campaign. It was her final campaign pitch. Is that high enough ranking for you? You guys, you supported her for president.
Exactly, because there have been reports
the person
that Donald
you
Trump
supported for president is someone
just relax,
who was campaigning by calling Trump Hitler.
Jack,
you're so disingenuous when you bring this stuff up. You can't even acknowledge the fact that your own candidate was on the campaign. She got a video about it. It's on her Facebook, or it's on her Twitter.
Let me offer one here, which is Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton literally compared Trump's rally in Ohio last week to Nazi leader Adolf Hitler's speeches. Speaking of the Texas Tribune Festival in Austin, she made reference to Hitler's speeches, which saw people raise their right arms in the air in the Nazi salute. I remember as a young student, trying to figure out how people basically got bought in by Hitler, she said.
Louise.
How did that happen? I'd watch newsreels and I'd see this guy standing there ranting and raving and so on. It happens all the time.
Now, before we go too much further, we just need to address these facial expressions. Like, we don't even need the sound on for this. Like, what is happening here? This looks like an AI video, and you want to be taken seriously? This is somebody that is an influencer. This is somebody that has a lot of people that follow him and take him seriously. I don't understand. But I think one of the most infuriating tactics when it comes to having these conversations is that whoever's on the left will ask the question or bring up the point, and then when somebody tries to answer, they will just talk over them the whole time. And I guarantee that they have been coached on this because they don't want anybody specifically on their side to actually be able to hear the answer, because they know that they are being proven wrong. They know that somebody is debunking them or dismantling their argument. So they can't have people actually hearing what they have to say. It's not just a matter of arguing back and forth or, trying to counter each other's points and getting a little bit heated. Sometimes it sounds like that, but Harry did this very, very poorly, to the point where you can understand that that's exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to make sure that people don't hear that Isabel was listing off numerous examples of Kamala Harris doing this, or that Jack Posobiec was talking about Hillary Clinton, comparing it, or no, Piers Morgan was trying to offer this example of Hillary Clinton comparing one of these memorials to a Nazi rally of the 1930s. So it's just really irritating, but understand that that is exactly what they are trying to do. But overall, it's absolutely astonishing to me that this has become something that the left is just doing. We know that there are 1,000 examples of Democrat, whether it be in the media or whether it be officials or people that are running for office or running for president, comparing Donald Trump to Schmittler. And they like to play these word games to say, well, show me a talking point or a sound bite or a speech where they're specifically calling Donald Trump Schmittler. And while they may not have said the exact words, Donald Trump is Schmittler, they fully understand that constantly comparing him or saying that he's a wannabe Schmittler, as there is a clip of Kamala Harris saying that we'll watch in just a second, they fully understand that they are painting this man as the next Schmittler. There's no doubt about that. So it's not about whether or not they've said exactly those words. It's that they have danced around it to paint this exact picture, to make the comparison, to make it seem like this is it's Hitler reincarnated. So this is just one example of many to prove Harry's point, or to answer his question of naming even one Democrat, high-ranking Democrat official that has referred to Donald Trump as Schmittler.
I don't think anybody in this debate can name me a high-ranking elected Democrat who has called Donald Trump Hitler.
I don't even know what to call him. I've called him so many things, but this wannabe Hitler for sure.
Here's another one.
It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of Americans.
And here's that clip of Hillary Clinton.
Another thing that you'll see next week, Caitlin, is Trump actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939. I write about this in my book. President Franklin Roosevelt was appalled that neo-Nazis, fascists in America were lining up to essentially pledge their support for the kind of government that they were seeing in Germany.
As I said, this is something that Democrats are resorting to a lot now, to do the things that they're doing, say the things that they're saying, and then when called out on it, go into full-on denial. Of course, we are all familiar with the podcast with Jasmine Crockett saying, point me to a Democrat that has incited violence.
But I literally have never said anything to invoke violence, and I challenge somebody to go and find a clip of a Democrat invoking violence.
I know that all of us have seen that montage of Democrats inciting violence, particularly during the 2020 riots, where they were saying, whoever said the protests had to be peaceful, Ayanna Pressley saying that there needs to be unrest in the streets, and, Nancy Pelosi was part of that. They were all pretty much just saying, we need to get out there and start getting physical with to make our point. So we've all seen that montage. It's been played several times, but this one was just from this week.
Donald Trump has changed things, and people trying to do what's always been done is not going to work. And I think that's why Democrats are losing black people. That's why they're losing poor people, because poor people, all they want is for us to fight. So if you hit me in my face, I'm not going to punch you back in your face. I'm going to go across your neck, because we can go back and forth fighting in each other's faces. You've got to hit hard enough where they won't come back. And so, for the same way I went to New York and spoke with Governor Kathy Hochul and said, if they're going to try to wipe us out in Texas, we need to wipe out every Republican in New York, in California, in Illinois. So no one can make me feel bad about fighting for the people that I represent, because the people that I represent need someone who's willing to go in the ring and fight for them. And that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Found it interesting how she was saying, what poor people want us to do is go in and fight. So she's basically saying that poor people aren't smart enough to understand ideas. They're not smart enough to understand debate or politics or current events or issues or things that matter to them, or the economy or the border or anything like that. They're not smart enough to understand when you discuss those things. They really just want you to get in there and throw down. That's the only language that they understand, which just demonstrates this elitist mentality that exists on the left, on the Democrat side, that they are so disconnected from everyday people. But she's going in there and saying we need to get in there and punch and fight and go across their necks and wipe out every Republican. And of course, if she's called out on this, she's going to say, well, I didn't mean with actual violence. But it's like, well, what do you mean? Because you use the phrase wipe out Republicans instead of just language like, we're going to beat them in the election. We need to draw more people to the voting booths. We need to get more people to turn in their ballots and wipe them out in that sense. You used language that invokes physical violence. And in my opinion, they are hoping that somebody is crazy enough to do this to enough people so that we're too scared to show up to vote. So one more example of Democrats saying something and then trying to deny that that's what they meant or that's what they said is this example of a Democrat senator named Catherine Clark when she is talking about the government shutdown. And she admitted that they are using the suffering of people, the military not being paid, federal workers not being paid, people not being able to receive their food stamps or their assistance programs. They're using that suffering as leverage to get the Republicans to give them what they want, which is, among many things, free healthcare for illegal immigrants. But this was that clip.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously, but it is one of the few leveraged times we have.
So when that clip spread across the internet like wildfire, as it absolutely should, and confirmed what we all suspected, this is something I have been talking about for a while now, that these Democrats absolutely know what they are doing, and they are using the suffering of good people to get what they want. And they know that Republicans are going to care far more about innocent people not being able to pay their bills or feed their children or feed their families than they are. They're using it and abusing it to their advantage. I've been saying this for a while, but when she was called out for saying that, for admitting the quiet part out loud, she went into this denial mode.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt just posted a clip of an interview that you did on Fox last week. You were answering a question from Fox's Chad Pergram about blame for the shutdown. Leavitt is looking especially at that last bit you said there, saying that Democrats, quote, are now admitting that they are intentionally causing American families to suffer with their reckless government shutdown. What's your response to that?
Well, that is right out of her playbook of half-truths, taking things out of context, and not being straight with the American people. And she knows what I said.
Just played the clip of you saying exactly what you said. You admitted it out loud. And sometimes I think the filter comes off and the mask comes off. It slips a little bit, and they say the thing that they actually mean. And I think that she was being 100% honest with this, because the Democrats have had numerous opportunities to vote to get the government open, and even to vote just to get the military and our federal workers paid. They have shut down even those standalone bills to get people paid and to get them their paychecks and to make sure that they can at least take care of their families while they sort this all out. So she was 100% being honest, but of course she's going to throw that back on people on the right or on Caroline Leavitt and say that she's the one that is lying. And of course, we always know that Democrats, whatever they accuse us of doing, is 100% what they are doing. That is where we are at, apparently, just full on gaslighting. And I know that that term is overused and abused these days, but I think if there is ever a definition of it, all of these Democrats are currently meeting it. And these are only the examples that I provided today. There are countless other issues that they are just saying, that's not a thing. I didn't say that. That didn't happen, even though they know we can pull up countless examples of the exact thing that they're denying. Yet for some reason, they still have people that follow them. Now, thankfully, we are seeing the Democrat approval rating continue to plummet. So I think at this point, they're like, we don't have anything to lose. Like, let's just resort to full on, just blatant, outright lying. Like, I mean, they've always lied, but now they're just not even like shy about it. They're like, let's just lie. It doesn't even matter anymore. Like, let's just go all in, be exactly the people that we are. So that is what I think we are seeing right now. But yeah. It's very interesting to watch, and always interesting to see people in their comment section defending them. And I just wonder what it's like to live in a bubble like that with that level of delusion. Must be nice. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments below. I appreciate you so much for being here. Hit the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel. As you guys know, we always end with a clip of Charlie Kirk. Keep it real, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Democrats I respect. I mean, Bobby Kennedy I respect. Tulsi Gabbard.
Why are you laughing? Why are you smiling?
Because like they're on our team now, because you guys kicked out like your best people. It's like the people that were into. This is a great point though, Governor. Is that Bobby Kennedy was a heterodox opinion on a thing that a lot of people were concerned about. Get him out. He's an anti-vaxxer. Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard, who was an anti-war. Get her out. She's a Russian agent. Yeah. You guys see how you have an unhealthy purification process where eventually you're left with just a 31% approval rating and a bunch of people that are talking to each other. And meanwhile, we're the ones that have Democrats in our cabinet winning the electoral majority vote, because there needs to be said, if Democrats are serious about being a majority party ever again, look at that ideological diversity. We have people that, geez, they want to go to war with every country that says something bad against us. And then we have people that are far more dovish, like Rand Paul. But that is a better, more, dare I say, diverse picture. You could say diversity is our strength.